All right, we're live. We're back. We're not on the green screen this time. That's okay. But
Why not?
we'll give folks a minute to filter in here, and then we'll get started. We've got multiple confirmed tornadoes already right now across parts of central Illinois, including downtown Peoria, under the tornado warning right now. We can zoom in here and we can take a look and see. Not a classic hook type shape on this right now, Michael, but a lot of spin in the atmosphere right now. And this was one that was spotted just to the southwest of Peoria. And so, if you're in or around downtown Peoria, we do have a confirmed tornado that you need to be taking shelter for right away.
Yep.
Many of you commenting and noticing the orangish yellow look in the sky right now. And Michael, you were noticing it too.
Yeah. It's very obvious here where I'm at in Bargersville, and that is absolutely the orange tint is the dust. It's the dust thing, and Brett and I were talking about. We haven't really seen this ever, really, that I can remember,
Mm.
at least in my time. Guys, I do want to say, tag a friend, share this with a friend. You know, Make sure you let folks know that you're watching. Um, it does have, just kind of looking out here a little bit, it does have a little bit of a pinkish tint to it too. It's very strange. I really can't describe it, but it's
Yeah,
weird.
this was from
Yeah,
Joliet. One of the
yeah.
meteorologists put this in our chat. So this is out to the west in Joliet, and we can look at the satellite here, and then we'll get into the severe weather threat because I definitely want to talk about that. I feel like not a lot of people, Michael, are talking about this severe weather threat, and I'm getting increasingly concerned about it. So definitely, if you're watching this, tag some friends, share this. Make sure that your school knows about it. If there's outdoor events, tag them here. Want to make sure that everybody is safe this evening because I do have some concerns with tornado threats as we get into this evening. But here's a look at the satellite. You can see the brown on the radar, or
Hmm.
the satellite, I should say,
Yep.
from northern Illinois really through Indiana. Some of the clouds covering it up, but that's crazy. I just can't recall ever seeing that this far east.
Yeah. Someone said they call that Sahara dust. No, that's not what they call it. But I know why you're saying that. But this is not dust from the Saharan desert. That is in Africa on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. So just say I appreciate it. That's not what it is.
No, it's
So
probably, if anything, it's from the desert southwest into northern Mexico.
yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
This dust rolled across Texas and Oklahoma last night,
Hmm.
and it's come all the way out towards us. Which again, it's rare, and again, I've never seen this before. I've never heard of this before around here. So crazy.
Yep. Will you do just real quick a little zoomed out view, Brett, and turn the county layer on? I want to see, just because you can kind of see where it's coming from, the origin of it. Um,
Yeah, let's
yeah, there.
do
Yeah, do that and, and
kind of do
and zoom that
southwest.
thing.
Look at that.
Yeah, so you can kind of see the brown there, um, and that's literally the dust coming in from just um, the desert southwest, most likely the deep south. The storm is carrying that dust layer with it. It's been dry. It's pretty remarkable to see. It's very rare, um, but nonetheless, it can be something that might make you think this could be a very strange, horrible evening of weather. This is very odd. The dust really probably is not going to have anything to do with the severe weather threat. Just FYI, it's just something
Mm-mm.
that's very interesting. Um,
No, and you can actually see subtle hints of this tan brown color looping
mhm.
all the way from the Gulf Coast up through here into the blizzard to the north, and
Yep.
then wrapped back around the low pressure here. There's a little bit of this brown even in Kansas. We were getting reports out here of orange and red dust covering cars, and then snow falling on top of that. I can't say I've ever heard of that before.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So, guys, a lot of you are asking about tonight. We haven't started the analysis yet. We're getting ready to start. Just do me a favor and tag a friend. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet done that. Repost it on X. Give us a bunch of likes and hearts here. Let folks know in the algorithm that you're watching. and we'll get in on the analysis right now. So this is what do we got here, Brett? Radar.
Yeah, so here's current radar as of 4 p.m. And if we put this into motion here, guys, real quick, let me zoom this out real quick so we can get a little bit of a. It's not letting me touch, or it's not letting me press the play button. The restream is there. We go. Here's a look at the current radar. You can actually see the low spitting out to the west, but starting to get development here out in central Illinois, out in southern Illinois. We're watching for the potential of strong storms developing over the next couple of hours across southern Illinois and southwest Indiana. If we turn on, there's been a mesoscale discussion that's been issued here for Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, Southwest Indiana. Very likely a watch coming in some of these areas, probably a tornado watch. This would be the area that sees maybe some initial strong storms developing here within the next couple of hours. And then it's as we get further into the evening that we'll need to watch for kind of the main line to push through Western Indiana, Central Indiana, and then maybe weakening a little bit as it pushes further off to the east. So here's a look at the sim radar as we work towards about 6 o'clock. And Michael, at this time, this latest run of the model has discrete supercells developing across eastern Illinois and kind of pushing towards the border of Indiana.
Yeah, and I think what's happening is these storms are a little bit more attracted to the upper, lower, and mid-level jet streams, and that's where the most lift is. That's where they're going to have the ability to be the most discreet, in my opinion. And I think that's what the model is trying to see. Now, I don't know that they can stay discreet very long, but what I do know is that Indiana is very popular for what we call these QLCS events and these quasi-linear convective systems. They're broken lines of somewhat of severe weather, but tornadoes like to spin up in these. And on the nose of the jet stream, I've seen it happen time and time again where that can be the case. So we may have two areas of focus there near the low in Illinois where there can be, tornado warnings as we're seeing right now. And then as this line matures east, I think that there's a potential here, obviously, for thunderstorms and damaging wind gusts. I think we're going to have severe weather events tonight, but I also think there is that elevated risk for some tornadoes here across the state.
Yep, guys. So what you're seeing here on the current or on the simulated radar, this is 7 p.m. Eastern time. So this is kind of an estimation of what the radar might look like at about 7 p.m. I wouldn't be shocked give or take a half an hour. Typically, if anything, these things maybe speed up a little bit. So we'll just say kind of 6:30, 7 o'clock with what you're seeing on the radar right here. This is as we work towards kind of the 7:30 to 8 o'clock time frame is when things are going to be bearing down on the Indianapolis metro area, Bloomington, Kokomo, starting to see these individual cells, as Michael, you alluded to, start to form into more of a discrete line at this point. But there's still, it's not a perfectly straight line, which again tells me that there's probably going to be a rotation and rotating storms and probably some spin ups. I wouldn't completely rule out the risk of a stronger tornado somewhere, and I wouldn't be shocked if it is along in South with that jet that you alluded to.
Yeah,
the risk of this a little bit further southeast. I don't see any reason to disagree with that idea.
Yeah, if you can go and kind of show the real quick, show the upper level winds, the 500 millibar plot there, and you can kind of see this jet max, if you will, take it to about 8 or 9 o'clock, and there it is right there. You're going to have your front exit region of the jet is where winds diverge. They kind of go split, and what that does is that causes a lift in the atmosphere. Now, I want to make sure we understand we're not talking about a tornado outbreak here. We're not saying this is going to be the worst thing we've ever seen, and that that it's going to be just a total crazy tornado event. But I think that there's certainly going to be multiple threats, at least potential there for tornadoes. If anything can kind of latch on to where we have these thunderstorms, they can rotate. I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of people saying that they can't hear me very well. Is that
I can hear you fine.
okay? I'm not sure.
I hope send me a text. Let me know if you can hear Michael okay, because I know she's watching and kind of answering comments. But
Okay.
to your point, Michael, yeah, that historically, when there are tornadoes, they do tend to form kind of on the nose, what we call the nose of this low level jet. So kind of where you see this purple. And
Mhm.
so again, that's why we think that the tornado threat could come a little bit further south. Here's the current outlook. It doesn't look like it's updated yet. Still have that tornado warning in
That's
Peoria.
that's actually new. It did
It is.
actually come east about 5 miles, and it does, as eerie as it looks. It looks like a heart. Uh, that 5%.
Yeah, I don't know
Weird.
why they did that.
I know that's strange, but that's
It
what it
is.
looks
It
like.
is. It is strange.
Yeah.
We don't know. Everybody else can hear you fine, so I think
Okay.
you're.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. But yeah, personally, Michael, I think that this yellow area could come. I don't know, towards Bloomington and Vincennes and maybe Greenwood, Columbus, even.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, just at least for the potential to have a stronger tornado. And the one thing I want to mention too is because these are going to be coming right about dark, about 8 o'clock. Um, you're obviously not going to be able to probably see it, and anything into Indiana, in my opinion, will be rain wrapped. Um, and it'll probably be brief. These QLCS spin ups are 60 to 120-second tornadoes. These are not typically long tracked, violent tornadoes. Typically, again, I'm not saying that's out of the question, but I'm just saying typically that when these things can go somewhat linear, you can um, kind of bet some rain wrapped tornado threats there are certainly not out of the question. So this here, what is this, 8 o'clock right here?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So we do have some other weather models that are performing a little bit better than the current one we're showing, that have a little bit more of a singular cell type setup that may be a little um, aggressive, but nonetheless support the idea that there can be some of these thunderstorms that remain cellular. Brett, if you go to Clarity Radar across South Central Illinois, they still are individually, kind of constructed, if you will. They are not linear in Southern Illinois right now,
Yeah.
not yet.
And I think maybe one thing to watch out here, and maybe the main risk, Michael, is that there's a lot of wind shear. We had a situation last year. I don't think it's quite the same setup. I think the dynamics with this system are a lot stronger. But we had a situation last year where a lot of the storms got too sheared. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on as a risk.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I don't see a whole lot of that's super impressive down here yet, but we're just getting going.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And again, to your point, we're not forecasting a severe weather outbreak and just tornadoes and severe weather everywhere. We're saying
sure,
a line of storms is going to come through, and a couple of them could have some tornadoes.
sure.
And winds. I think a few 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts are going to be possible. I think if you go to the 850 low level wind map, I want to talk about why I think that might happen closer to that 8, 9, or 10 o'clock time frame, because that's when the low level jet fires up a little bit and becomes a little more organized. So if you go to 8 p.m., Brett, you can see the jets starting to try to organize there. There's a jet max in the western half of the state there that's probably about 60 knots right there. Is that orange?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's about a 68-mile-per-hour wind. If you go one frame forward, you can see the jet really tries to somewhat consolidate and organize. And it wouldn't shock me as that happens if you see a little bit of an increase or uptick in these thunderstorms in the damaging wind category. The potential
Hmm.
for damaging wind, as they can mix that wind down pretty easily. Um, but the low level jet fires, a lot of times they can act to enhance the thunderstorms, especially if they some of these comments are just so stupid. I'm sorry. I just see some of the stupidest comments. I try to avoid it. I God, I'm not wired to avoid it. It's a curse. I just don't even understand. Anyways, for the love of Pete.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
So yeah, so as these thunderstorms, as these low level winds can fire up, sometimes can enhance the thunderstorms locally as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn because I think was it the new HRRR that had some decent helicity tracks? Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Yep.
So this is just basically guys indicating storms that have the potential to rotate. It doesn't guarantee that they will, and it's also an estimate. So don't look at this and say, okay, there's going to be a tornado over my location. That's not what it's saying. It's just highlighting the areas in general that have the potential to see some rotating storms.
Yep. And that has trended a little bit more aggressive versus the earlier runs. In fact, you might be able to show the previous 12Z run. I don't think was it wasn't quite as aggressive there. So you can see an uptick there in those rotating thunderstorms with those strong updrafts. One thing I haven't looked at a whole lot, Brett, is the hail risk here. What are we thinking in terms of any hail with this?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think that there could be some large hail. I don't think it's to the extent of the storm last week, but a couple of reasons, and I can turn on the hail threat. I looked at it earlier. I think that it could maybe, again, be expanded a little bit further to the east. The thing with hail is there tends to be more hail when your temperatures aloft are colder, which they are, and when there's a lot of dry air embedded into the system, which there is aloft and at the surface. There wouldn't be dust if there wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I personally, I think that there could be some hailers. I don't think it's to the extent of Friday night. But I would not be shocked if there were some embedded large hail 1 inch plus in some of these storms as they roll through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let's. I tell you what, real quick. Why don't you go to? Can I share my screen?
You can, maybe.
Am I allowed to do that?
You are allowed. I give you permission.
Wow. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on currently out here across Illinois. If you zoom in, we've got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings just west of Bloomington, Illinois. A couple of these are going to be capable of 3/4 inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. You can see some lightning there in the western part of Illinois. I wouldn't be shocked to see the expansion of some type of watch box over basically all of Indiana, a big chunk of Indiana and southwestern Indiana. I certainly think that the potential there for some type of watch is probably going to be a tornado watch, if I had to guess, just because of the potential spin in the atmosphere. But what I'll do real quick is I want to use Clarity to show the future radar, just so I can show you the 30-minute increments of the HRRR, Brett.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. And again, here is about where we are right now. And it's a little underdone. It's a little underdone with current radar. The current radar is a little bit more expansive. But here's about 7 o'clock on the state line. This is a 7 p.m. future radar view on the state line. Again, you can kind of see the somewhat cellular nature of these storms and even some indication of some hooking in some of these here across the state line. Again, at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I go forward, we'll take it to 7:30. Okay, there's 8 o'clock. So right on the doorstep here of the Logansport, Kokomo, Hamilton County, getting in Boone County, Lebanon area, probably the eastern part of the county by 8, getting into the Indy metro area on the west side here, 8 o'clock, Johnson County, west side of the area there around 8 p.m. A strong storm signal there over Morgan County. And then as far south down into Bedford, French Lick, and even down to, Huntingburg. I mean, it's there. It looks like we just have a new watch that's been issued. Let me plot that on here real quick. Yep, there's the tornado watch now. That kind of expands down even into Kentucky. And listen, I agree with this.
Yeah, I do too. It's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, we talked about this morning. We talked about it. This is something that along those upper level winds, I don't disagree with there being a tornado risk down now for Evansville, Jasper, Louisville, portions of Western Kentucky. And I fully anticipate, I think it's possible that a watch box would cover central Indiana too, in the next probably hour to 2 hours, probably. Wouldn't shock me there. So that tornado watch is gonna go up until midnight, looks like. So, but real quick here, back to the future radar tonight. Again, I had at 8 p.m. Zoom back out just a little bit. Here's 8:30, right over Indy, Kokomo, east of Bloomington, in between Columbus. There's 9 p.m. 9:30, getting into the eastern part of the state here, and probably entering Ohio state line about 10 to 10:30. Note down here in Louisville, note the signal down here. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's where the low level jet is so strong, Michael. I think that the risk verbiage down there needs to be bumped up a little bit. With that jet, at the very least for wind. I think that there's definitely a straight line damaging wind threat down there, but I would not be shocked to see some tornadoes too associated with that jet stream down there.
Look how quick it just kind of pewters out there. That sun goes down. It's that threat east of Cincy is basically gone. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think that we need to be watching, all these areas, including central Indiana. I know there's not an alert out yet. I know there's not a watch out yet, but weathers don't follow alerts, by the way. Weather doesn't, storms don't care if you have a watch or not or whatever, but I would anticipate this to fill in as well here over the next couple of hours over the central portion of the state. So,
yeah, and here I'm going to throw this back on the screen. The general time frame is from, whoa, I got really big.
Whoa.
The general time frame, guys, for Indiana is kind of the 6 p.m. to 11 time frame. 6 if you're on the western edge of the state, 11 p.m. if you're on the eastern edge of the state. As it gets into Ohio, probably weakening. We'll be well past the start of the night, losing that daytime heat as we get further into the evening hours. And so, towards Ohio, could there be a couple of stronger storms? Yeah, but I do think most of it, as you alluded to, Cincinnati and points east, should be weakening pretty quickly. The storms, I would say, in central Illinois, really starting to kind of get a little bit more organized, I would say. You're starting to see some more of this activity really begin to intensify here near Springfield. Note how some of these cells are growing in intensity. We've got 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, a tornado warning just east of Peoria. That's kind of a gnarly looking cell there, Michael.
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at 19Z, Brett, HRRR. I'm gonna.
It's a little bit of hail.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to show this real quick on my screen if I can. That's the 19Z helicity tracks, and you can see.
Yeah,
I mean, those are some really long indications of strong updrafts and rotating storms.
Yeah,
certainly quite the signal there for this to move over. I'm interested. I'm intrigued by the signal right now. So.
Yeah, I think the bottom line with a look like this, the takeaway for you all is in that 6 to 11 p.m. time frame. If you're in Indiana, you need to be, keeping an eye on things. You need to be prepared. You need to be in a place that you can get to somewhere safe. I'm not saying it's a tornado outbreak by any means, but I do think that there's the risk, really, anywhere in the state, as what you're showing indicates, that there could be severe weather and a couple of tornadoes. And so need to be on alert. This is not a situation where I think we can, sit back, kick your feet up and relax all evening long. I think that you're probably going to be hearing from us quite a bit. And you think that we're going to be tracking quite a few severe storms here soon.
Yep. This is just again a general look at radar, and you can start to see the organization down there in South Central Illinois. I think what we'll do right now is let's probably say we're going to come back closer to about 6 o'clock, Brett,
Mm-hmm.
as these storms get on the Indiana-Illinois state line and start moving east, and come back with coverage then. But I think, as you have here on the screen, from 6 to 11 p.m. from west to east, that's what we need to be watching. And let's not be shocked when probably a tornado watch gets extended further east.
Yep, for
So,
sure. That sounds good.
One other thing, there's a lot of people watching. If I can share my screen real quick, Brett, am I sharing? I mean,
You are sharing.
Yeah. If you go to bamwx.com, guys, right now, and you load the website, in the top right-hand corner, you click Get Instant Access. You can start a free trial right now. You just click on that, and it takes you right there. It's a free trial, no credit card required. You can really get a good idea of how Clarity is going to work, what it's going to do, what it's capable of, how it can help you make decisions. Because I will tell you, it's that time of year where you need location-specific details and not, county-based 30-year-old technology, which I have a reel out there floating around Facebook that might get under. It might piss some people off, but that's what it's supposed to do. So
yeah, can we go ahead and say right now, here's your safety tip, and then I'll give 811 a shout out too.
Yeah.
Here's your tornado sirens safety tip. Do not rely on the tornado sirens to get your warnings. They're not meant to be heard out or indoors. They only go off for a couple of minutes, 3 to 5 minutes in most situations.
Yeah.
And they don't always follow, and probably in a lot of cases, they don't follow the polygon of where the tornado warning is. It might go off for the whole county. It might go off if there's a severe thunderstorm warning in a tornado watch.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rely on the tornado sirens. I don't want to say ignore them. It's not what I'm saying, but make sure that you're using a reputable source, whether it's Clarity, double checking the radar yourself to see where the polygon is. Just make sure you have a source to actually see if there's a tornado warning for your location. And Clarity does that to make sure there's no confusion for people.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Well, appreciate all the kind words. Let's give 811 a shout out, and let's come back at 6.
So, guys, again, continuing to work with 811 on this safety project as we go throughout the spring. Probably going to be some wind damage across the Ohio Valley, and so if you're eager to get out and fix things like me after a storm, just be sure that if you need to dig anything up, call 811. Use that free service. Make sure that your utilities get marked. We don't want anybody to get hurt because of a gas leak or anything like that. So call that 811 number if you need to dig and be safe.
Yep. All right. Cool, Brett. Well, we'll be back here at 6 o'clock, and we'll stream tonight live as needed with the impeding threat.